Hello everyone, let's start today's session. Today in this session we are going to learn about Windows Server roles and features. So let's begin. Guys, as you can see, this is our chapter number 1, and in this slide we are going to learn about configuring server roles and features. And under this particular section we are going to learn about the configuring file and share access. So I hope you all know the importance of file and share access in today's modern IT environment. If you can check with small organization to enterprise organization, you can find the use of file and share access. So one of the critical daily functions of a server administrator is to decide where users should share their files and who should be permitted to access them. This is very important and very critical subject. Okay, because as an administrator of a server, this is your responsibility to decide which are that user going to access the file shares and which are not. Based on that, current server administrators function a critical role. In this session, we are going to cover the below objectives. We are going to learn how to create and configure shares, configuring share permissions, configuring offline files, configure NTFS permissions, configure access-based emulations, configure volume shadow copy services, and configure NTFS quotas. So guys, these are the key points which need to be covered in this slide. So let's start with the first one. Creating a folder share. So in today's world, all the server administrators are doing day-to-day job on creating share folders. If you are the creator or owner of a folder, you can share it on a Windows Server 2012 computer by right-click on any folder and go to the properties, or under share option you can share this to some specific people, or you can share this to everyone, whatever you want. On the right hand side on the slide, as you can see, this is the basic share screen while you are trying to share any folder to a group or to some specific people. Type of folder share. This is also very important, guys. So Windows Server 2012 basically support two types of folder shares. The first one is server message blocks, that is known as SMB share. SMB is the standard file share protocol for all versions of Windows. That means if you want to access your file shares from a Windows machine, in that case you should have SMB share enabled on your server. And the second step is network file system, that is NFS. NFS is the standard sharing protocol used by most Unix and Linux distributions. So Based on the requirement, based on the users, you have to create the share. If you want Windows clients to be accessed to your share folder, in that case you have to share it on SMB. Or if you want to access the share from any Linux or Unix based system, in that case you should configure NFS file share. To create NFS share, you must install Windows Server NFS role services. This is also important, guys. If you want to configure the NFS file share, that means for the Linux and Unix platform, in that case, you should install the NFS role before configuring the network file system share. So now we are going to learn about how to provision a share and what are the types available. So first you need to log on to a Windows Server 2012 user using an account with administrator privilege. This is the first point, okay? So to provision a share, you should have appropriate rights on your account. So while logging to the server, file server, you always keep in mind that you should have administrator privilege on it. The server manager window opens. Then you need to open the server manager window. Second, click on the file and storage services icon. You should click on the file and storage services icon and then click share to provision the shares. From the task, new shared widget will start automatically. On the right hand side, you can find the new share wizard looks like something like that, and displaying the selected profile on the page here, and it will give you a brief idea, brief display to select the share profile. So before provision is shares, you have to select appropriate share profiles. Okay. So I think I got some questions. Let me go through it. Sumit unable to hear. Sumit, no sound. Okay. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Guys, are you able to hear me now? Okay, great. Okay, great. Antony is able to hear. That means there is some issue with Sumit. Great. Let's start. Let's continue now. Okay, so this is the share profiles, guys. We are going to learn about share profiles in the practical class as well. But this theory classes, you should understand how you can provision a share on a server manager using a server manager. So on the server manager, on the left hand side, the file and storage services was there, right? It is the default feature which is installed if you install a file server role. So you have to go to that particular option, then select the drive or the share folder, then provision the new shares. This is the process how you can select the share profile before provisioning a share. Okay, and on the right hand side we have a snapshot of a share profile. What are alternate share profiles are available with us for configuration. Although this is a Windows class, as you know, this is a Windows class, and there is no need to discuss on NFS because NFS share basically used for the Unix and Linux based operating system. But Microsoft still decide to keep the NFS share features on the Windows Server 2012, and that's why you are going to, if you want to enable the NFS share, you have to install the NFS role from the server manager and remove role. After that, you can provision the NFS share as well. So SMB sharing options. This is very important. SMB share, we have already understand that the SMB share is basically used for Windows machines. That means if you are using Windows XP, if your system is Windows 7 or Windows 10, anything else, Windows 8, anything else, if you want to access a share, that protocol which is used to access that share is known as SMB. So now we are going to learn about the types of SMB. So in SMB share quick SMB share provide a basic SMB sharing with full share and NTFS permission. So if you want to provision a quick SMB share folder, in that particular option you can configure the SMB sharing along with NTFS permissions. But in SMB share advanced, it provides SMB sharing with full share and NTFS permission and access to the services provided the file server resource manager. So there is some difference, guys. As you can see, if you want to share a folder using SMB share quick, there is no need to install file server role. Okay, that you can do easily without any file server role. Okay, and that can be managed from the server share manager. But if you want to SMB share advanced, that configuration, you can not only share, not only give the permission, although you can access the share or configure the share using the file server resource manager, which is a file server tool. During installation of file server tool, it will be installed as to manage the file servers role like screening, quotas, etc. So if you are using SMB share advanced, in that case you can use file server resource manager to manage the shares. SMB share application, this is a new thing, guys. So this is actually provide SMB sharing with setting suitable for Hyper-V and other applications. So this is very important. Suppose if one of your machine having 128 gig of RAM and 3 physical processor in it, and you want to enable the Hyper-V role on the server, but you don't have disk drive on that particular server. So instead of purchasing any disk, you can use SMB share application. SMB share application option provides a suitable share option for Hyper-V and other application to store its file or data. NFS share quick. Now we are going to learn about NFS share. Okay, guys. So I already told the NFS share, network file shares, that is basically for the Unix based operating system or Linux based operating system. So provide the basic NFS sharing with authentication and permission. NFS quick will be used for the authentication and permission purpose. But the NFS share advanced provide NFS sharing with authentication and permission plus access to the services provided by the file server resource manager. That means if you use NFS share advanced, then you can configure other feature which is available in file server resource manager. We are going to have a practical on it. Don't worry. Configure share setting. This is very important. Enable access-based emulation. This is one of the key features in today's shares. It prevents user from seeing the files and folders that they do not have permission to access. Suppose you have a file server with two different shares. One share is currently associated with Shantanu and another share is currently associated with Sumit. So once you try to browse that particular server for the share // server IP, enter, Sumit only see the Sumit share folder and Santanu will only see the Santanu share folder. But it will not work vice versa. That means if Santanu do not have any permission on Sumit shares, then Santanu cannot see the share of Sumit. This is the feature, this is the function which is known as enable access based emulation. The next is allow caching of share. It enables offline users to access the content of the share. This is basically a caching feature from the client side. If you enable this feature on the server, then the offline user, that means the user who do not have connection with the file server, may also access the content of a share, but it will consume disk space on your local machine. Okay. The next is enable branch cache on the file server. Enable branch cache server to cache file access from the share. So this is a feature which is basically reduce processing time or access time of files, frequently used files. So whenever you are using a file server on an environment and customers, that means clients, are continuously accessing the server and you have enabled the branch cache on it, in that case, branch cache feature will help clients cache the frequently accessed file on its local machine. So it will be much faster if the branch cache will be available at the server configuration. The next is encrypt the data access. So this is one of the important features. Most of the organizations are currently very conscious about the ransomware. You also heard about the term ransomware. Ransomware is a kind of virus which actually affects the data and encrypt the data and ransom for the money. So to prevent that, you can do encrypt data configuration on the server side. If you do that, the communication between client and server during the file access will be encrypted. This is another key feature of shares in 2012 server. Now I am going to elaborate what is access-based emulation. Access-based emulation, or ABED, a feature first introduced in Windows Server 2003 R2, applies filter to share folder based on the individual user permissions to the files and subfolders in the share. Guys, as you can see, the ABE was first introduced in Windows Server 2003 R2, and it is basically used for folder and subfolder based shares. Simply put, the user who cannot access a particular share resource are unable to see the resource on the network. Very important. It will help us to prevent attacks from the intruder. So it means if someone do not have a permission to view or access any shared folder, then in that case they will not able to see it on the shared drive. This feature prevents user from searching through the files and folders they cannot access. This is basically introduced to help users find the right and appropriate files in a very short time, so that it can only access the files which it has access on it. You can enable or disable ABE for a share at any time by opening the share properties sheet in the sharing and storage management console. So guys, this feature, if you install a role of access-based emulation, shows that you can enable or disable this feature as on you require. To display some advanced dialog box displayed by the provision of a shareholder wizard. So to turn it on or turn it off, you have to just need to go to the share provisioning option, go to the advanced option, and enable or disable the ABE feature. Now we are going to learn about offline files. What is offline files? Offline files are also known as client-side caching. That means it is a client-side activity, guys. It is not a server-side. We can only enable offline file shares from the server, and the server will provide the clients to copy the data from the server to the client side using the caching technology. Is a Windows feature that enables client system to maintain local copies of the file they access from the server share. So this is the basic reason that it maintains the local copies of the file they access from the server share. When a client selects the always available offline option for a server-based file, the folder or share and the client system copies the selected data on the local drive. So it will give us an option whether we want to see that file or folder or share in offline or not. If we select make it available offline, so in that case it will copy the share or the file on our local drive and updates it regularly, and it will start updating it with the server version. Then in that case we have to just change the local version of the data, and it will automatically get replicated with the file share, so that the client user can always access it. This is the basic reason why offline files are required, even if the server is offline. So even your server is offline, you are still able to access your data. Enable clients to use offline files features, the share must have to allow caching of shares checkbox selected. So if you want to provide the feature to the users, in that case the client caching should be enabled during provisioning of the shares. Windows Server 2012 and Windows 8 also have a new and always offline mode for offline file feature that causes client to always use a cache copy of server files. So this is a feature which is very important and is available in Windows Server 2012 as well, providing better performance. So this is the basic reason why we are going to use offline files. It will provide us a better performance because all the files available in the share will be copied to a local hard disk. So it will be most faster and performance will be better than a file share. To implement this mode, if you want to implement this mode, you must set the configure show link mode in group policy setting on the client and set the value as 1 millisecond. So if you want to configure the offline caching show link, so in that case you have to enable the show link mode on the group policy setting and set the client value with 1 millisecond. so that the client will synchronize with the server data automatically after enabling the always offline. Now we are going to discuss about advanced share profiles. So in this session, selecting one of the advanced share profiles adds 2 pages of the wizard. So basically in quick profiling, you can get single page of configuration. Whether if you select advanced share, you will get 2 pages of wizard. Specifying the folder management properties and apply a quota to a folder or volume. These are the basic things. You have to specify folder manager property and apply a quota if you want, or in a folder or in a volume. Both of these pages provide access to functions of the file server resource manager application. So if you want to access that file server feature for the folder, volume, quotas, and folder management properties, to view that options, you can go to the server manager, server resource manager application to manage this advanced steps. Guys, now we are in the permissions tab. So permission is one of the most critical thing while providing share access to the customer. In today's world, as you know, we already completed in our previous class. If you have NTFS file system, then only you can use NTFS permission. So in Windows Server 2012 has several set of permissions as well, which operate independently of each other. So there is multiple set of permissions which are available, and these can be worked individually as a independent permission. For the purpose of a file sharing, you should be familiar with the operation of the following permission system. So these are the basic permissions which are available during creation of any share. One is known as share permissions, another is known as NTFS permission. Why it is NTFS? Because it is only available with NTFS file system. So what is share access? Share permissions control access to the folder over a network to access a file over the network. A user must have appropriate share permissions and appropriate NTFS permissions if the shared folder is on NTFS volume. This is important, guys. So if the volume is in FAT62 or any other file system like the new generation file system, REFS, in that case you cannot set the NTFS permission. The NTFS permission is only available with NTFS file system, but share permission is available everywhere. If you want to share a folder, you can share it over the network by using appropriate share permission. And NTFS permission is to control access to the file folder shared on a disk formatted with NTFS file system. So if you want to prevent or gain access to specific file NTFS volume, in that case you have to set the NTFS permission properly. To access the file whether on the local system or over a network, a user must have appropriate NTFS permission. So if a user wants to access a data over the file share, if the user have the share permission as well, still they need NTFS permission to access the data. Now, let us talk about the ACL and ACEs. Guys, what is ACL and what is ACEs? Let's see. To store the permission, each of these elements has an access control list, which is known as ACL. ACL is basically stands for access control list, and ACL is a collection of individual permissions in the form of access control entries. That means if you want to add a single group or a user in the ACL, that user or a group will be the ACE. That means these are the access control entries. Each ACE consists of a security principal. That is the name of the user, group, computer generated the permission. So these are the basic principle of three things. One is user, another is group, and the third one is the source computer. That means the computer from where the permission has been generated. And the specific permission assigned to that security principal. When you manage the permission in any of the Windows Server 2012 permission, you are actually creating and modifying ACEs in an ACL. That means, well, when you are giving a permission to a user or revoke a permission from a user or group, what you are actually doing, you are actually dealing with the ACEs inside a ACL. NTFS permission system has 14 advanced permissions. If we go with the advanced option in the NTFS share permission, we can get 14 number of different permissions that you can assign to a folder or a file. However, these are also 6 basic permissions which are available in NTFS share permission. In our practical class, we will going to view that one, whether in advance we have 14 number of permissions or not, and in the general default setting we should have 6 basic permission for NTFS file system. Now we are going to learn about allowing and deploying the permission. How we can allow someone, or we can denying someone. That means stop accessing someone from the permission. When you assign a permission to a system element, you are in effect creating a new ACE in the element ACL. That means when you are provisioning a share and you are going to create or provide access to someone or some group, you will actually editing the ACL. There is 2 basic type of ACEs are available. That is allow and deny. So either you can allow that user or either you can deny the user. Okay. Suppose one user have read permission, but on the right option you have selected the deny. In that case, user can only have read-only access. To write the data, it will have a deny permission available. This makes it possible to approach permission management tasks from 2 directions. One is additive What is additive? And another is subtractive. Additive is start with no permission and then allow permission to individual security principal to provide them with the access they need. So when you start sharing a folder or a drive or something file, when creating the share, and in NTFS ACL access control list, if there is nothing, no one is aligned, then you start allow the access as per the requirement of the users. That process is known as additive. And subtractive is that you start by granting all possible allow permission to individual security principles. That means you first allow everyone, then provide them a full control over the system element. That means you provide full access to everyone and then grant them deny permission for the access you don't want to give them or provide them. So there is two ways. One is when the permission is blank, you start providing the permission one by one, allow. In that case, there should not be any deny permission available. And in the subtractive, when you allow everyone with everything, and then you start applying the deny permission where you want to stop the users from the accessing file. This is the two way how you can use or deploy, allow or deny permission. Now we are going to learn about inheriting permissions. The most important principle in permission management is that permission trained to run downgrade to a hierarchy. Guys, always keep in mind that permission, that means ACL, is having a hierarchy on its own. So that means if you create a folder with the name of test and you applied a share NTFS permission to everyone, and on this particular test folder you have created another folder like test1, the permission from the parent folder will automatically get inherited to the local folder. This is the basic understanding. Permission inheritance means that the parent element pass their permission down to their subordinate elements. That means the master folder, that means the key root folder, will automatically pass the permissions to the downstairs. In some situation, an administrator might want to prevent subordinate elements from inheriting permission from their parents. So, most of the cases, the inheritance will automatically work, but some of the cases we have seen that the administrator do not want to do so. So they want to prevent the inheritance. So there is two ways how you can turn off the inheritance. One is turn off the inheritance. When you align advanced permission, you can configure an ACE not to pass it permission down to its subordinate elements. This efficiently blocks the inheritance process. So this is the default and recommended process. We can during provisioning here, if we go to the advanced option of a NTFS permission, we can disable the inheritance permission option from this advanced tab. Deny permission. When you assign a deny permission to a system element, it overrides any allow permission that the element might have inherited from its parent object. So if we want to stop accessing or stop getting permission from inheritance, there is another way that is known as deny. So if you select the deny permission on a system element, then the allow permission will no longer be used or work. The deny permission will override it. So now I'm going to talk about bypassing the share permissions. Many file server administrators simply leaves the allow full control share permission to everyone. Special identity in place. Essentially bypassing the share permission system and rely on NTFS permission for granular file system protection. So guys, how we can bypass this permission? So most of the administrator, what they are doing, they can allow full permission to everyone and essentially bypass the share permission system. And recently on NTFS permission for gather file system protection. So instead of providing permission on share, they will provide the ACL on NTFS security. That means on the share part, it is shared for everyone, but while they are trying to access that folder or files in it, they will need NTFS permission to access the files. This is known as bypass share permission. Now let's understand what is NTFS authorization. The majority of Windows installations today use the NTFS and EFS file systems as opposed to FAT32. That means majority of Windows, that means most of the Windows servers or systems which are currently in market, they are basically using NTFS and EFS file system, as FAT32 has been outdated or obsoleted. One of the main advantage of NTFS and EFS is that they support permissions. This is the important thing. So if we use NTFS and EFS, our benefit is that it will support permissions, which FAT32 does not have. So if we are in FAT32, the permissions option will not be there in FAT32. Every file and folder on NTFS and EFS drive has an ACL that consists of ACEs. That means if we have a partition with NTFS or EFS, that means each and every content available on that particular partition is having a ACL, access control list, and access control elements. Each of which contain a security principle and the permission assigned to that principle. So each and every file should have a unique principle to assign permissions into it. In the NTFS permission system, which EFS also support, the security principle involved are user and groups, which Windows referred using a security identifier. So in NTFS permission system and EFS permission system, the security principle basically involves users and groups to provide the permissions, and that user and groups identifier is known as SIDs, security identifiers. When a user attempts to access an NTFS file or folder, the system reads the user security access token. So it is automatically happen. Actually, whenever you try to access a file share, it will automatically read the user credential as well as the group memberships, based on which contain the SIDs. So that group or user should have some SIDs for user account and all the groups which user belongs. So they have the SI unique identifier. The system then compares these SIDs to those stored in the file or folder SEs. So the SID will be validated with the SE to determine what access the user should have. So then only it can decide whether user have read access, write access, or read, write, modify access. The process is known as authorization. So this process is known as NTFS authorization. What is this? This is basically a security handshaking. When a user tries to open a share using double backslash, after putting the IP address and hit enter, it will automatically check the user privileges. What group member it is and what SIDs are available or associated with the user count. Based on the SIDs, that SIDs will be later compared with the SEs, whether the user have permissions or not. If they have permission, then what kind of permission that the user have, whether it is read, whether it is read write, modify, delete, whatever. So now we are going to learn about NTFS permissions. NTFS permissions are not limited to a share folder. Every file and folder on a NTFS volume has permission. Although the procedure describes the process of assign permissions to a share folder, you can open the properties of the set of any folder available in a file explorer window. Click the security tab and work with its NTFS permission in the same way. Volume shadow copy. Volume shadow copy is a Windows 2012 feature that enables you to maintain previous version of the files on a server, so that if user accidentally delete or override a file, they cannot access a copy. You can only implement the shadow copy for an entire volume. You cannot select the specified shares, folders, or files. So the only thing is volume shadow copy can be configured per drive, and it will take some space from the drive automatically to store the previous version of the files. NTFS quotas. Managing this spaces is a consent and concern for a server administrator, and one way to prevent user from monopolizing the large amount of storage is to implement the quotas. Windows Server 2012 support two types of storage quotas. The more elaborately of the two types implemented as a part of File Server Resource Manager. The second similar option is NTFS quotas. So guys, quotas is basically used to prevent user from accessing a certain limit of file access. There is two type of quotas we are going to learn, that is, one is soft quota, one is hard quota. So in our practical class, we are going to see how we can apply a quota on a shareholder. Now, NTFS quotas enable administrator to set a storage limit for users or a particular volume. So NTFS quotas can be enabled by administrators to set a storage limit. If we want to provide a storage limit of 5 MB, 10 MB, 100 MB, 1 gig, 1 TB, like that. Depending on how you configure the quota, user exceeding the limit can either be denied disk space or just to receive a warning. The space consumed by individual user measured by the size of the file they own or create. So if we provide a hard quota of 1 GB and a user created a file which is 1 GB in size, and rest after that, if we want to save something else, it will not be done. It will not going to be work because there is NTFS quota which is configured. So guys, before go for the practical class, I would like to have a discussion round for Q&A. If you guys have any doubts, please let me know. So guys, now we are in practical session of configuring file and storage services. So we are going to provision a share first, and we are going to learn about what are the options available to creating a share. So after opening the server manager, on the left side, go to the file and storage services, and under this share option, you can have the details which is default share available with currently. As this is a AD server, that's why these two are the default share which is available. Okay, so on the volume, you can click on the task and click on the new share options. Once you click new share option, it will give you the share profiles, as we learn about the in our theory session. First, we are going to create a SMB share quick. So if we click on the SMB share quick, it is showing the basic profile requirement, the first way to create an SMB file share. Typically use share to files with Windows based computers. This is not supported by Linux. This is mentioned. Suitable for general file sharing. Advanced option can be configured later by using properties of the dialog box. So if we going to create a quick share, after creation of quick share, we can configure the advanced share as well. But for that, we have to go to the properties option. So let's start and create SMB quick share. Select the SMB quick share and click on the next option. Now it will show us the server name along with the available drives. So let us select the F drive, or you can select the custom path using here. If you browse, you can see everything, every drive available in the machine. You can select a particular disk drive, and you can create a folder like this, and you can configure this one. Or what we can do, we can go to the file explorer, then go to the directory first, then create a folder which is name is smb quick underscore quick, so that we can identify it properly, then minimize it. Then on the custom path we can select the browse option, and we can see here in this drive we can see the smb quick folder. Select this folder and click on the next. So the share name will be smb quick, or we can change it. That means the actual folder and share name can be different. We can configure that. So here you can see the local path is available in F drive, and the remote path where we can access this is known as SCS lab, which is the host name of this machine, under slash smb underscore quick. This is required to access from the LAN, that means other machines. Click on the next option. Here you will get the option access-based emulation, allow caching of the share, or encrypt data access, which we have learned. So Santanu have just asked us a question about the caching, right? Santanu? In this caching option, caching makes the content of the share available to offline users. If the branch cache for network file share rule is installed, you can enable the branch cache share as well. But as of now, we do not have branch cache installed in this server. So currently we are going to only enable the default caching facility. Click on the next option. These are the default permission which is available, that is everyone full control. So let me continue with that first. So this is the summary of our share. Share folder is available with the server name is SCS lab. The server is not a cluster server. The local path is F. Protocol is SMB. Share name is SMB underscore quick, and caching is enabled. After that, click on the create option. Once you click on the create option, it will show that the SMB share has been created and permission has been set. Click on the close option, and you can see the share from here as well. If you can right click on this share, you can have the option of properties. To enable the advanced option, you can go to the permission or setting. You can change anything anytime. If you want such information to be there, you can select it. So as of now, we have created a file share named SMB Quick. So now check whether we can make it available offline or not. Before make it offline, let me put some data on it. So let me go to the data drive, select some files, and copy the files from this particular directory to that particular shared drive, and let's paste it. Once it is done, as you can see here, this is having a size of 190 MB and approx 200 MB in disk. So let me take you to another system now. Now we are in a 2008 server, and we are going to access our file server. And click on the, now as you can see here, a shared drive is available, right? So if you can click on that, we can able to log in. Go back, right click on it, map network drive. So it will ask for a drive letter. Let me go with the Z drive, no problem on it. Click on finish. So once we click on finish, we can able to access the share from our local machine. Here it is. So now if we want to make some content offline, so in that case you have to go to the property. Let me go through it. Okay. Go to the files. Oh, sorry. Select a file. Go to the properties. Sorry. Let me go back. Let me show the properties here. What are the version are available? General version are available. So to make it offline available, we have to go to computer management. Go to the share folders. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me shut down this server. Before shutdown, go to the sharing option, go to the advanced option, caching, all file and program users should automatically available. Optimize the performance. Select this option first, click on OK, apply, then click on OK again, click on close. So it will be available on the local machine. Go to this machine again, and if you can see here, there is some files. These are the files are now accessible, available. Now let me shut down the machine. Okay, let me shut down, or we can disconnect. We can disconnect the. Okay. We can disconnect the network. Not from here. Let me disconnect the network from here. Okay. Let me disconnect it from the network here. We can disconnect it from here as well. We can click on disable. It is disable now on 2008. If you can click on restore, It will find for the destination server. It will take some time, I think. Till the time it is get access, let me go to the back to the this server. I think there is something, it is not accessible. The network on the network is also not accessible. Yes, network is not accessible now. I will show you that in next class. So now it is going to be on again. So we have already enabled the quick share. Now we are going to learn about the NTFS permission here. On the permission tab, there is the option of customize permission. Go to this customize permission and you can get an option of disable inheritance from here. Okay, if you can click on disable inheritance, it will give two options. One is convert inheritance permission. That means it will keep the permission as it is, but it will allow you to change the permission as per your requirement, or you can remove the inheritance from the object. There is two options. If you do not disable it, then you cannot change any of the permission. That means there is no edit option available, right? There is no editing is available. If you can go with that, there is no edit option available. That means they are all inherited. To do that, you can first disable it and convert the inheritance permission. It will give you a summary which are the permissions are going to be inherited in this folder. Then you can click on any file, then you can modify the settings. So we have learned about the default permission. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 permission. These are the basic permissions. Okay, and if you want additional permissions, so in that case you have to click on the show advanced permissions option. So if you can click on show advanced permission option, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 7 here. Total number of permission is 14. So in advanced permission you can get total 14 number of permission to set. So now if you want to set any condition, that is new in 2012 as well, so you can click on a condition option and you can select whether it is a user or device, it is a member of some group or authentication issues, match or unmatched, member of any value, and you can select the condition here. So by which you can grant the permission using condition as well. So not only the permission, you can use condition to limit the access. That means if you want a user to be permitted till 6 p.m. in the evening, you can do it. Okay guys, so these are the advanced permission option, and if you click on the show basic, you can go to the show basic permission option. So these are the setting, and in here there is two types, allow and deny is available. So if you allow some permission, click on allow and then apply, and if you want deny permission, then you can go with the deny, so everything will be denied. Okay, so these are the basic thing, and also you need to know what is the meaning of applies to, Applies to basically stands for where this permission going to be applied. So there is certain option that is this folder only. That means you want to apply the permission to the parent folder only, not for the subfolder and files. You can apply the permission to the folder, subfolders and files. You can apply the permission on folder and subfolders, not on the files. You can apply the folder and files only, not the subfolders. You can only do the permission on the subfolders or files. These are the variety of applies to option which are available in Windows. So during selection of provisioning of share, always keep in mind wherever you are doing a permission, always think about that whether it is allow or deny, and second thing is where it is going to be applied, whether it is a file level permission, folder subfolder permission, or folder permission, or subfolder files, everything. So I'm going to do it for everything, then click on OK. So once it is clicked on the right side under applies to, you can see where the permission goes applies. These are the five permissions which is applied in folder, subfolders and files. And this is the last permission for users which is applied for this folder and subfolders only, not in the files. And if you want to remove any permission, you can click on the remove option, or if you want to add anything, you can add it here. If you want to add a domain user or group, you can add it here, like this one, domain admin. Click on the check names, the group will be automatically find out, and click on OK. Then select the full permission, select the type, however you want, then click on the OK. So the new permission will be added. These are the basic and simple permission, difference between basic and simple permission. So now guys, if you want to set some quota, go to this option and configure quota. But here, as you can see, quota option is not available. Let's see why it is not available. Go on the tools option and you can see file server resource manager here, right? So go to the file server resource manager. You can see here is some quota management is available. You can go with the quota management, go to the quotas option. There is some soft quota which is have been created. Let me create another quota here. Create quota, and you have to select the path first where you want to apply the quota. So let we select the drive which we have created. Okay, let me select a D drive and select the boot folder for the quota and click on OK. And now we have to select a template for applying the quota, whether we can use soft quota or whether we can use hard quota. Okay, so these are the thing you can do, or you can configure the quota by defining custom rule. Define the custom rule, edit, or you can set the limit, whether it is KB, MB or GB or TB. Then description, you have to put description 100 MB hard. So now you have to select whether it is a hard quota or soft quota. As the name is hard quota, that's why we have select it as a hard quota here. And notification, if you want to send some notification if threshold crossed, so you can do it here as well. So now we are going to click on OK. So as you can see, 100 hard quota is there, and click on create. So it will ask you to save with a different name. So let me put a name here, 100 MB hard, and click on OK. As you can see, we can enable the boot. Okay, and it has been due to that it has been used 17% of the 100 MB. Right guys, so these are the thing how you can manage the quotas using NTFS permissions. So on the file streaming, you can also stream files. Suppose you want to do, let's create a new file stream. Select a folder where you want to stream it. Let me stream it on the boot folder as well. And let me block, hold on. Let me block image file. Or you can select custom. Let me go with the custom here, okay? Text files. Okay, let me select the text file. So now we have to select the text files. Archiving, do not allow user to save unauthorized files. Or passive streaming, allow user to save files used for monitoring. So you can use this template for two purposes. One is to prevent the user to save such files, and another is you can allow them to save the files, but it will be monitored. So if you want to know what is inside the text file, you can click on the edit. So these are the file types which going to be logged. Okay, so let me copy this one. Click on OK. Click on OK again. It will now show you the details. Click on create. It will ask for a name, 100 text file block, and click on OK here. As you can see, it is active. So let me test you by dropping a test file. Okay, so let me create a text file here and rename it with the test name, and let me copy it from here, and let's try to put it on the stream drive that is known as boot. Under boot, if you want to put it, what you can see, you need permission to perform this access, right guys? If you go with the more options, there is nothing. If you can use the try again, it will show you the same thing. Let's turn off the setting here, as you can see here, and you can do edit. Let me set it at a passive streaming. As you know, passive streaming will allow the file to store, but it will monitor. Now we can try again. It will copy the file, right? Go that particular thing, and you can click on delete. Now you can click on edit. Hold on, let me go back to the active again. Text file block active again. Sorry, let me edit it and active again. Then click on OK, and again going to be minimize it, and click on paste. So it will just archive. Now again it is asking you do not have permission to perform this action. So guys, in this way you can configure the file shares, you can configure the quota, or you can do anything you want. Okay, so in this classes we have learned about quick shares, advanced share of SMB. We have created file level quota, and as well as we have configured file streaming to block TXT files. So guys, that is all for today. If you have any doubts, any queries during this session, please let me know. Thank you. Santanu, do you have any queries? Or Sumit, do you have any queries? Please let me know.
ফাইলগুলো আছে অ্যাক্সেসের, ওটা ওয়ান টাইম অ্যাক্সেস হওয়ার পরে কি ফাইলগুলো পাবে?
সরি,
অফলাইন ফাইল অ্যাক্সেসের জন্য
হ্যাঁ হবে হবে
অফলাইন,
হবে। আমার অফলাইন ক্লায়েন্টটা করতে গেলে আমার ক্লায়েন্ট মেশিন চাই,
না আমি
উইন্ডোজ 10 বা উইন্ডোজ 7 যাতে অফলাইন ফিচারটা ইনেবল আছে। আমাদের সার্ভারে ওটা একটু অসুবিধা আছে। উইল প্রিপেয়ার এ টেস্ট সিস্টেম, ঠিক আছে, আমরা একটা টেস্ট সিস্টেম বানিয়ে ওটা আমরা ভিডিও করে দেখাবো।
না
এনিথিং এলস?
No, no, no.
হ্যাঁ, সরি, এনিথিং এলস? সুমিত, শান্তনু?
না 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 না, একবার দেখে নেবো।
Nothing. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm closing this session now. Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.
গুড নাইট।
Good night.